What's up guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing Alien Covenant. Now Alien Covenant was my number one most anticipated movie of the year. I've loved all of the Alien films, well some more than others. I enjoyed Prometheus, and after watching all the deleted scenes and putting sense together of that movie, I was really hyped for what to expect, what was going to come next in the story. I'd just like to point out that this video is going to be as spoiler free as possible. There may be some connections you can make if you've already seen the film or you've seen the previous one, you can connect the dots, but yeah, I'm not going to make any bold spoilers. So Alien Covenant is directed again by Ridley Scott, the guy who made Prometheus and the original Alien. Basically, the premise of this movie is there is a colonist ship with around 2,000 colonists, and it's heading for a new planet to start a new life. And basically they intercept a signal from somebody or something which shows up a planet which is more inhabitable, so they decide that they're going to go there and start their life instead of this original planet. And there's aliens and gore and shit goes down. So first of all, I want to talk about the things that I did like about the movie. Now this movie is not perfect, there's a lot of flaws, but I'm going to talk about the things that I enjoyed. So firstly, the cinematography and the whole look of the movie was like incredible. I think Prometheus is one of the best looking movies I've ever seen, and this one is not quite on the same great scale as Prometheus, but it's definitely a beautiful looking movie. Just the lush forests and the sets. Ridley Scott builds these amazing sets that are all actual practical. He just wants like everyone to get into the actual scene, especially the crew when they're actually filming it, so I give him like 10 out of 10 for the sets in this movie. As far as the story goes, it is a little bit scaled down and a little bit less ambitious than what we've seen in Prometheus. This is basically more aiming towards an alien film than it is a massive who created us story. But for the most part, I really did enjoy the story of the film, especially the characters. I'll just say that the majority of the good things that I enjoyed about the story revolved around the characters played by Michael Fassbender, who is just amazing in this movie. This is one of his best performances I've ever seen. I really loved him as David in Prometheus, but here he even excelled that performance for me. I really enjoyed the themes that this movie had. There was a lot of themes of like artificial intelligence taking over and god complexes and this really meaty sci-fi stuff that you can think about long after the movie is ended. And a lot of that stuff does involve Michael Fassbender's character. Now, considering this is an alien film, you'd expect there to be aliens, so I'm going to talk about the creature designs in the movie. I thought they were pretty good, to be honest. It's a lot different than what we've seen in any of the other movies. We have the creatures called the neomorphs, which is the new type of xenomorph, which is created via different means. I think it's like some spores enter someone, and it basically just pops out like a chest burster, but different. I really like the creature designs of the adult neomorph in the movie. After they've grown up, they look almost humanoid with these big like dome pale white skin heads, and yeah, they just look really cool and they were really vicious, really like animalistic compared to like some of the other aliens we've seen. And as to be expected with alien creatures, there's going to be a bit of violence, a bit of death, and I'll say that the gore in this movie was spot on. It's one of the most violent movies I've seen actually. Some of the scenes in this movie were like ridiculously violent. There's a lot of gore, there's a lot of blood, gallons of blood. Now, I did watch one of the violent scenes in the movie like 2 weeks before, because I actually went to the Aliens Super Ticket Day where you got to see Prometheus, the first Alien, and some exclusive footage. So I did see one of the big intense scenes of the movie before it, which I think that kind of took away from the final product because I'd already seen like 15 minutes of it. But that scene was really intense, and yeah, I loved every second of it. And the stuff that comes after that I didn't see in the footage was really cool too. Now, I've already touched upon the acting in this film a little bit with Fassbender, but Fassbender's performance was just amazing. Like, he was magnetic to watch on the screen, just the things he was saying and the way that his character interacted with other characters was just really interesting to watch. Obviously, with him being an android, he has different like objectives and things that he can and can't do, so it was always fun to see how he worked with the different characters of the Covenant ship. And another standout performance I thought was Billy Crudup, who plays, I think his name is Oram or something. He was basically the captain of the ship, who was also a very religious kind of guy, so it was fun to see him reacting to the whole alien existence thing. So he actually did a really good job in the movie. Now, I will say, like, personally for me, I did find the ending slightly predictable. I did see some certain things going on that I thought was going to happen, but the overall reaction to the ending was that I really enjoyed it. It was pretty bleak, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, I really loved the ending and it sets up the next one perfectly. Hopefully we get some more answers in the next one, but yeah, it's supposed to be shooting in the next 14 to 18 months, so yeah, can't wait to see what happens after that ending, because it is quite a big cliffhanger ending. There's bound to be a lot more positives about the movie that I'm just not recalling right now, but unfortunately there was a lot of flaws in the movie which kind of took it down a few notches for me, especially with expectations of it leading up to being anywhere near as good as Alien or Aliens. I still really did enjoy the movie, but some of the flaws in the movie kind of did make me feel a bit disappointed leaving the cinema. I think a lot of the things that I didn't like about the movie were reactions to the box office success of Prometheus, because there wasn't really much xenomorph action in that movie, let's be honest. And obviously Alien was one of the best sci-fi movies ever, so I think there was like a struggle between continuing the Prometheus story and make it an Alien film. So I think there was kind of a mix-up with what this film was going to be, because it takes parts from Prometheus and Alien, but it never executes both of them perfectly, so you kind of get a mixed match of a movie. As far as like the special effects go, there was a lot of CGI in this movie towards the creatures, and for the most part it was actually really good CGI, but a lot of it, like, it was good CGI, but they just showed too much. The main good thing about the first Alien movie was just how the xenomorph just hid in the shadows and was just hanging there in the background. In this one they put it like full front and center, and a lot of the scenes that the alien is in, if you've seen the trailer, is like in the daytime, so it can't hide in the shadows and it's just out there, and you can see every little I wouldn't say negative thing about the CGI, but you can just see everything, and it makes it a lot less scary. Yeah, the film was intense, especially the scenes I spoke about earlier, but there wasn't really any horror aspects of the movie. I didn't really jump at all during the movie. For the most part, the xenomorph didn't actually do much on the screen. Like, it killed a couple of people on screen, but it was so fast you couldn't actually see what was happening, and some of the deaths were just completely off screen, which kind of sucked, because I wanted to see the xenomorph in action for the short amount of period that we actually did get to see it. Now, I think the biggest problem with this movie for me is the final act of the movie. Not the ending, because I did like the ending, but the whole end section. To me, it felt like they were trying to reach the fans too much instead of trying to be original and creative. So the whole third act basically feels like they've condensed the first Alien movie down into about 15-20 minutes, and it all happened so fast and so familiar to the original movie that you just kind of left with a feeling of, oh, is that it? We've waited all this time to see the alien and it's over and done with in 15-20 minutes. I'm not sure if this was just because the film was really fastly paced compared to Prometheus, that it just went by in a flash, or if it's just that there wasn't enough alien in the movie. I think the fan service in the movie, like, was good and bad. Like, they had subtle moments, like subtle references to the other movies, which I really enjoyed. Like, I picked up on a lot of things like a lot of people wouldn't have, because I've seen the movie like hundreds of times. But then towards the end of the movie, they just start throwing in like dialogue which is ripped exactly from Alien, and scenes that are just completely the same as Alien basically. And like at the same time, like, I enjoyed them, but it just lacked originality, and it just felt like it was all mashed together just to help people who'd liked the Alien movie to like this one. But I think it worked in the opposite effect, really. I think the box office success of Prometheus really affected the direction of this movie. I know that Ridley Scott has even come out and said that Prometheus was a mistake, which I don't think it really was. I think it was justified. A lot of the questions that came up in Prometheus, it felt like they were just dropped in this one. Like, they just did anything they could to just nuke Prometheus out of orbit, so they could continue with this alien story and just get rid of every question that they built up in Prometheus. Now, this is a sequel, and there's going to be another one, so some of these things could be saved for the next movie or two, but if you're watching it as one movie, it feels like the whole movie is just a stopgap between what's next, if you get me. This whole setup of this movie is just to get to the next one, instead of being like a contained story that adds like a lot of mythology and a lot of like satisfaction to the overall mythology of the series. Now, I think I've said a lot more negatives here than positives, and that is not the case. I did enjoy the movie a lot. Like, obviously there was certain things that I disagreed with, but I think because I'm such a huge fan of the franchise, then I'm kind of nitpicking at all the small things, which justifiably so you should do if it's like a franchise that you love, and if they're making direction choices that you don't agree with, then yeah, I guess it can be a bad thing. I'm hoping that the sequel will take all of the bad criticisms that people have and just make it the best sequel we can before we get up to the start of Alien, because there's a lot more ground to cover before we actually reach Alien. So there's a lot of things that could happen, especially with the reactions to the movie, what Scott's going to do in the next one or what he's not going to do because of the reaction to this one. One thing I will say, I feel like a lot of the movie was edited out. Like, I've seen a lot of promos and trailers and stuff. I know like some of the promos, like The Crossing and the Last Supper one, aren't supposed to be in the movie, but I feel like a lot of the xenomorph scenes from the promos were just cut from this movie, which means either they just didn't work with the plot, or hopefully we're going to see some kind of extended version of the movie, or at least deleted scenes, because I think Prometheus suffered with a lot of editing issues. You could tell a lot of that movie was cut out, but when you actually watch the deleted scenes, it makes the movie just so much better because you have a better understanding. So I'm hoping the Covenant Blu-ray has a lot more footage that makes the movie make more sense and just fleshes out the xenomorph, fleshes out the characters a little bit more. So overall, those are my thoughts. I know this is like one of the hardest movies I've ever had to review because I'm so indecisive about how much I like the movie, and it's all in my head. Like, I can't think of what to say about the movie because there's just so much to talk about. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Alien Covenant as of now. If you enjoyed the video, then let me know down in the comments section, and let me know your thoughts on Alien Covenant. Try and keep it as spoiler light as possible because some people viewing this might not have seen it, but yeah, this is going to be my review of Alien Covenant, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.